Hello everyone, I'm the one and only Havoc himself, and today I'm starting a couple of videos that I'm going to do talking about World of Warcraft and what I think should be done to not necessarily fix the game, because the game isn't exactly broken, it's just sort of in a weird state, and there's a couple of things I think could be done to make it better. First off, I'm going to be starting with leveling in this video. The leveling experience needs to be rebalanced and redone in a big way. Heirlooms kind of have completely broken it, and the 90 boost is not a good enough fix. I say 90 boost, it's 100 boost now, but paying $60 for a max level character doesn't mean that you should just let the leveling experience stagnate and die. So, let's get into it. First point, heirlooms make leveling trivial and stupid. It makes it so that you one-shot everything, and when you are one-shotting everything and you're not scared of anything, you just put on a podcast or a movie in the background and mash buttons until you hit level cap. Whether that's... and usually, I think with heirlooms it's like 20 hours or something. It's still pretty long, even with heirlooms. Like, so it ends up being like tens of hours of grinding on mobs that just instantly die. It's boring. And the best way to do it is dungeons, because dungeons are at least kind of fun. That's why everyone gets funneled into dungeons, obviously. First thing I think could be done to fix not fix heirlooms, but fix leveling, is Nixium, the WoW YouTuber. I really like his idea of factions during leveling that you could get rep for, that give cosmetic stuff, XP boost, buffs. Maybe if you level a shit ton, you get like a leveling mount. You can make some sort of, I don't know, XP mount. I don't know, maybe instead of XT, it's XP, get it? I don't know, could be a thing. So that I think is a really cool idea. It'd give older players a reason to go level an alt. Like, hey, maybe you love Mage and you love Shadow Priest, but you've never leveled a Warlock before. So, hey, now I have this faction that I could get rep for, and I could go get my awesome robotic XP mount. So now I'm gonna go level a Warlock. Cool. You just added length to the game. Like, now people are going to keep playing the game and keep giving you that $15 a month. So another good thing, I think, would be to rebalance the mobs, obviously. Even without heirlooms, they're really easy, and it takes longer to level if things are challenging, which is something that people complain about. But I think they complain not because it takes a long time, but because it doesn't feel rewarding. Just making mobs harder, even when you have heirlooms equipped, like, I would honestly... I don't know exactly how you could do it. Maybe using the scaling technology from Legion you could do it, but just making them scale up if you have heirlooms equipped, so that you can still get that XP bonus, or just nerfing heirlooms so that it's like a regular piece of gear instead of the best item that you can possibly get for that level. Just making it so that's harder to level. Not necessarily, like, longer, just, like, each mob should feel like you actually fought an adversary. It should feel like, you know, you triumphed over someone just barely. Which could lead it back to vanilla, where it gets pretty grindy, but a lot of people feel pretty good about vanilla and questing before Cataclysm, because even though it was difficult and it took a while, it was rewarding. You felt good for grinding, for doing quests, for going through the whole experience. And the game is not just about endgame. It's not just about PvP and raiding at endgame. It's about the whole experience, and you want the whole experience to feel like it kind of flows together, you know? Also, having harder mobs kind of helps the game become a better teaching tool, I think. If you have to use CC every now and then when you have to CC something in a dungeon, it doesn't feel like no one ever told you, oh, mobs can be difficult. Because now, if you get into a heroic dungeon, if the dungeon isn't a complete joke, new players don't really know what to do. So changing the leveling experience into something that teaches people how to play at endgame, I don't know exactly how you can do that, but doing that I think is really important. Okay, so staying on the train of thought of redoing the entire questing experience, my idea for that is kind of similar to what Final Fantasy XI did back way long time ago, is that they basically just added in an entirely new zone that could be used for leveling. It was super fast to level through, you got skill ups really easily. I think something like that would be cool. Not necessarily to the same extent, where all you want to do is level in this new zone, but I think it'd be cool if instead of remaking old zones, maybe retool old zones to make them work, and then add in new leveling zones that might be tied to the time walking thing, where maybe you could go back and help Thrall build Orgrimmar, or I don't know exactly what lore events would be cool for this, but there's a lot of lore events that we haven't really seen in WoW at all. There's a couple of them that are pretty big and cool and might be interesting to explore, and I think you could add new leveling dungeons and new leveling zones based around those and the time walking thing, or possibly even going to a different planet, or maybe just make it so that whatever zone you're in, you scale up to, or you get stronger to fight the mobs there. Like they're planning to do in Legion, where you can just go to any of the zones and you scale up to match them, so that you can quest anywhere and experience any zone that you like in the way that you want to. And I think that's a big thing that's going to help, is making it so that leveling, you get to level where you want. That choice, I think, could make the whole experience a lot better. Another idea I had is that I've seen a couple of people in game now who have either whispered me when I was in a guild or said in guild chat, hey, how do I get into a raid? And they were like level 60. And they found like raids online, they found footage of raids online of people who were level 60 and in a raid. So they were like, oh, well, I want to go do that. I know I'm still leveling, but I want to try that. So my thought was, why not let them? Obviously, there's nothing stopping them from queuing up and, sorry, not queuing up, but from getting a group together to go do that old raid. They would just need a whole bunch of level 60s. So why not make like an old raid queue or a time walking thing? I would prefer it not to be in a queue, but I think it'd be cool if there was an easy way to get into a group. You could possibly have it scale up to max level, and then there'd be like time walking rewards for max level players who were playing, and then everyone who was current level would get XP and really good gear that would help them level. And I think that could be really cool. And obviously they'd get XP while playing it, which would kind of break those old raids, but it's not like they're doing anything right now. The only thing that they're used for right now is twink guilds, which I think twink guilds are cool, but, you know, maybe we could retool old raids for this purpose of, hey, here's a raid that you can go do. It's not exactly difficult because you'd be playing it with randoms, and a lot of old raids like BC and vanilla raids are basically dungeons by today's standards. They have almost no mechanics, and you could basically just use them like leveling dungeons, I think. And it'd be something that would spice up the whole journey to level cap. I don't know, it might not work, it could be way too complicated for not a very cool system, but, you know, you gotta try new things, you gotta try crazy shit sometimes to make things better. I don't know. So another thing that worries me about leveling is I don't even queue up for PvP at low level. I don't think anyone does, because anyone who's in low level PvP or who likes to twink in low level PvP, all you run into is people in heirlooms. That's all you're gonna find is full heirloom teams, and you're this new player who's like, let's say you're a new player, I should say. Let's say you're a new player and you're like, oh, PvP sounds fun, let's go try it out. I have no idea what's waiting for me. And then you just get one shot over and over by rogues and hunters and mages and basically all these really good classes for PvP at low level in full heirlooms who have their one-shot macros and just wreck your shit over and over and over again. Because they have what is essentially the best possible gear for that level automatically, so they can just put it on all of their twink characters. if they're into that sort of thing. Even if they're just leveling through PvP, they're still using heirlooms. Even if they're not twinking, they're still using heirlooms, and they will still one-shot your ass. So then that new player gets wrecked in PvP, says, wow, this game has really unbalanced PvP. I don't even want to play it at max level, because if it's this bad at low level, at max level it's probably even more unbalanced, or just as unbalanced. And then that person unsubs and goes to a different game to play PvP because you gave them a bad experience. A lot of the low-level stuff in WoW right now just sets people up to quit early, I think. And obviously there's still a lot of people, well, a lot less people playing the game since WoD came out, but I guess we already know what went wrong with that. So moving on to the next thing, I think there should be more incentives for grouping. Honestly, like, just throw a whole bunch of shit at people for grouping. Extra XP, gear boxes, fucking buffs. I don't give a shit. If there's that faction thing, give bonus reputation for grouping. Just make people get in groups and start talking. This is a social game. It's an MMO. Massively multiplayer online game. Why do I go through all of leveling and not talk to anyone? Why is that a thing I can do? Like, I don't... just make people talk. If you get someone to max level and they don't have any friends in the game, you have failed at making an MMO. You need to force people to talk to each other, and at least, if it just make people group and get together and make it a social game again. That's all. That's all. Just do that. I don't care what you have to do to make people group up to do quests. Just do it. Basically, to sum up, leveling should be challenging and rewarding, and maybe that's how you make people group. But that's all. You just need to make it kind of challenging and make it feel good to level. And also make people group up on occasion. Possibly all the time, because seriously, it's supposed to be a social game. The other thing about leveling that I didn't mention before is I really feel like, or actually I did mention it before, but anyway, I think the game should be used better to teach, right? Leveling doesn't prepare you for endgame. When you get to endgame, you go to either PvP or PvE, and you could have been PvPing the whole time and you're kind of good at PvP, but it's a little different at max level. As far as PvE, you can hop into a dungeon and know nothing about the game. This is a game that requires you to have a guide open, which I think is a design flaw. I don't think your game should require you to have a guide to get into the next stage of the game. And I don't know exactly how you can fix that, but there's some way to do it. I haven't had any ideas for it. If I ever have them, I will definitely make another video and share them. I guess that's it. Thank you guys for watching and listening to me ramble, and if you have any disagreements, leave them in the comments. If you think that my ideas are brilliant and should be put in the game right now, leave them in the comics. Like, subscribe, all those things. I will see you guys later.